looks like it's starting to become one of the best practices for churches to reach people. I see some churches that are having a handful of churches plus actually having some success using this strategy, attracting first-time visitors. So I'm excited to kind of share it. At the bottom of the screen there in blue, there's two URLs, New Sound Church, and then a church here in Orlando, orlandonorth.com. If you have another tab that you can open these up, it might be good just to be able to, wait a second. Let me get rid of the timings on this. Thought I did that this morning. Clear the timing. My apologies. Yeah, all right. Those two church URLs are churches who are implementing this. Now, there's a lot more. I just happen to select these two here, but if you want to reference them as we're talking, it might give you a good idea visually what this looks like. And let me just open us in prayer and then we'll get going. Father, thank you for this opportunity to be able to just gather together today, brothers and sisters in Christ, to talk about strategies for how to reach our local communities for you, and just teach us how to use the digital space so that we can reach others for Christ. And I just pray that we'll find this information productive this morning, that people will have an opportunity to implement it and find some success in doing so. All right. So social media, this is my definition, social media for me really is not about technology. It's about the potential that we have to connect with people and develop relationships online that can lead to discipleship. And social media has been around, for a decade now, at least. It's not going away. So I've been looking at some of the graduate level, the master's level, the PhD studies that have been coming out, looking at the development of relationships online, because so many people are saying that they're forming relationships and building friendships online. How is that happening? So I thought I would talk about that just briefly so that we can see that, in fact, being on social media is a good opportunity to develop relationships. So social psychologists tell us that there's basically 3 criteria that's needed for a relationship, friendship, relationship to form between two people in the real world. 1, there has to be proximity. We have to be able to be around someone in order to develop a friendship with them or a relationship. So proximity is very important. The second item that they say is frequency. So it's not just being around folks, it's being around folks on a regular basis. It provides opportunities for relationships to develop between people. And then the third thing they say is that we have to find some common ground or things that we have in common. So when we're around folks and we're around folks on a regular basis and we find that we have things in common with them, that's when relationships develop in the real world. So what the research is showing is that's the exact same process that happens for relationships to develop online. They're discovering that it's not any different. It's being in proximity to people online. It's being in proximity on a regular basis with people online. And it's being in proximity on a regular basis and then discovering the things that we have in common with people online that leads to friendships, which lead to relationships, friendships that have a potential to lead to discipleship. So there's a lot of value and a lot of potential that we can use social media for. We just have to get the perspective that it's about building relationships and kind of lose this idea that it's about technology. It is a technology, but you can't just think about it in that aspect. In Tom Cheney's book, The Church Revitalizer as a Change Agent, he talked about, how do churches employ the use of social media to reclaim or possibly just to claim their reputation in the community? How do we do that? Well, we do it through building relationships with people through social media. Like I talked about in the previous slide, it's that process of developing know, like, and trust with folks so that they can be more inclined as they're seeking a church for it to be our church. And interestingly enough, I think a lot of you know this. The Pew Research Center, the latest research says that 70% of Americans use social media to connect with other people on a daily basis. 7 out of 10 Americans are on social media. They use it to connect with people on a daily basis. And so my thoughts are that means that 70% of the people in your local community, in that geography that surrounds your church, 7 out of 10 of those people are online on a daily basis. And chances are they're on one of three platforms. Facebook currently is the largest social media platform. They have 2.2 billion monthly active users, followed by Facebook. Facebook has 2 billion monthly active users. And then Instagram just recently hit the 1 billion monthly active user points. If Facebook were a country, it would be the largest country in the world right now at a population of 2.2 billion. So odds are pretty good that 70% of your local community is on one, if not probably all three, of these social media platforms. So if you had to pick some platforms to be on as a church to reach people, to connect with your community, start establishing or reestablishing your reputation, I'd say Facebook, Instagram are two choices. YouTube has recently implemented some relational tools, stories, and some other things too that make it more of a relational platform. So talking about breaking barriers for new church growth, Harry Fowler said that one of the important things is that churches have to develop or create new ways for people who aren't members to become members of their church, developing new entry points. And I think social media or digital entry points are definitely a way to do that. Having a social media presence allows new people to take a baby step, actually to take digital baby steps towards becoming a part of your church. People often need to take small steps towards an organization or church in this case in order to start thinking about showing up and visiting that place. And so when you're on social media on a regular basis, you have that proximity, you show up where your community is, you show up regularly, you begin to engage them. It allows them to start taking baby steps towards thinking about visiting your church. And your presence on social media then actually creates a digital pathway that can lead to someone being a first-time visitor. In other words, we want to think about, and this 7-step plan a visit framework helps to provide a solution for that. We want to think about how do we move an online relationship to an offline relationship? How do we move a digital relationship into a physical or physical present type of relationship? I mean, ultimately, that's the purpose. We want to connect with people online, and we want to think about or be deliberate or intentional with how do we make this now an offline relationship? So these online avenues that you establish of participation actually start to send a signal to people in the digital world that your church is interested in what I call hesitant connectors. That's those people who are thinking about church. They've been thinking about church. They just haven't taken that first step into showing up because they just don't know yet if that's what they want to do or which church it'll be. Could be that person who had a bad experience in a church a long time ago, and so they left the church, and now they're thinking about, well, maybe I should start going again. You know, to me, those are what I call hesitant connectors. And your best place to engage them, to begin to develop relationships with them, is online. And that's why I think this is such a powerful entry point that you can develop. So thinking about this plan a visit web page and why you should think about having one, or if you have one, making sure that it's very robust and fully developed so that people can use it as a tool to taking that first step. Google right now processes over 1 billion searches every day. In fact, they said if you boil it down on Google, Google has more than 50,000 searches every single second. Here's a thing that should catch your interest. 46%, almost half of all searches on Google now are local searches. And what I mean by that is almost 50% of the searches that are occurring on Google, and Google's changing their algorithm, by the way, to make this adjustment. Almost 50% of all searches are those kind of searches, and you've done this. You're out in your community, you have your smartphone, you ask Google, hey, Google, where's the closest Mexican restaurant to where I'm at? Where's the closest auto parts store to where I'm at? Where's the closest shoe store to where I'm at? And then Google will give you that very specific localized information. That's what a local search consists of. People using their desktop or a tablet, but for the most part, they use their smartphone for these type of mobile local searches to find things that are near them. So I wanted to show you something. What does this look like for you? Okay, so I went to a tool called Google's Keyword Planner. If you're not familiar with that, you might want to write it down. Google Keyword Planner. This is the tool that I'm using to render the information that you're seeing in front of you. And so in this particular case, I asked Google, I want to know in Cabarrus County, North Carolina. You can see my pointer, it's right up here. Just in Cabarrus County, North Carolina, I want to know how many people are searching for this term, church near me. I'm on my desktop, I'm on my mobile device, I'm in Cabarrus County, North Carolina, and I want to know what church is closest to me. Google gave me this information based on, I asked for a 1 month average, April of 2018 to March of 2019, and right here, dead center is what you see. Google is saying that for Cabarrus County, North Carolina, on average, there are 7,320 searches for the term church near me. 7,320. That's how many people are using just this very specific term, church near me. This blue ring represents a mobile device. You can see the legend over here on the side. Almost 71% of those searches come from a mobile device. And then, of course, there's desktop and tablets. But again, this is a local search that someone in Cabarrus County is looking for, primarily using their mobile device. You want to make sure that your church, that Google shows your church to someone who's entering this term in Cabarrus County. So let's take a look at Rowan County, North Carolina. Same thing. I'm asking Google, in Rowan County, North Carolina, how many people are searching for this? How many people use this term, church near me in Rowan County? To search for a church near them, Google gave me 1 year's worth of data, and here's the answer. In Rowan County, 4,250 people on an average month search for a church near them using the term church near me. So there are people out there in your community searching for churches. That's what this means for you. Every week, every month, there's people in your local geographic community that are searching for a church. And that's why, if you don't have one, you should consider having a Plan a Visit webpage, because that is the webpage that you're going to have that people can find in that type of search. So your Plan a Visit webpage can be a bridge from the digital space, people doing local searches, to the physical space in the hopes that people will actually show up as a first-time visitor. A lot of you know this. Your digital presence nowadays is often the first place where people find you. Back when I lived in North Carolina and we were searching for a church, this would have been in the 80s, you went to your Yellow Pages and you opened up your Yellow Pages and you looked for a church. If you were looking for a Southern Baptist church, you looked for a Southern Baptist church in the Yellow Pages. No one does that anymore, right? They use social media. They use Facebook. They use Instagram. They search for your website on the internet. Research says 71% of people have said that they use social media to find a church where they've attended. 7 out of 10 folks, that's how they're finding you. And so that's what the benefit of this page is. We recently baptized someone about a month ago. We have a church member. Her name's Michelle Thomas. She runs a Facebook group called The Word of God. There was a lady named Kathy who online asked if she could join that group, and she did. And after a period of time, Kathy messaged Michelle in this Facebook group, I would love to learn more about having a relationship with Christ. How do I do that? And so Michelle gave her her phone number and said, call me, let's talk about that. And during that phone call, she led Kathy to Christ. And then what happened after that is that she brought Kathy to our church, and Kathy was baptized at her church. And now she's currently a member there. So that's not an example using a Plan a Visit webpage, but it's my example to you of how relationships can develop online and then lead to an offline relationship in the area of a first-time visitor. Okay, it can happen. We've seen it several times at our church, more than that actually. So, Plan a Visit website. You have to remember, for a lot of us listening to this, we probably have been at church for a long time. We're very comfortable. We know it very well. But because of that, a lot of times we forget, you know, for a lot of folks attending a church for the first time, they don't really know a lot about it. And so they have questions, you know, what am I supposed to wear? How long is the service? What happens to my kids? And these are the type of questions that they're looking for answers for. And it's the type of questions that your Plan a Visit framework is going to answer. All right. So I'm fixing to start the section of this presentation that talks about the 7-part Plan a Visit framework. So what I'm talking about is one web page on your church's website. And this one page is going to have 7 different sections to it that are designed to provide a variety of information to answer just about every possible question that there can be. So that's what this is. One page, 7 different sections. If you happen to have bookmarked the churches that I mentioned on slide 1, this would be a good time, you know, to kind of reference those and take a look at what those look like. They've done them in slightly different ways. If not, do it after the presentation, but to get a feel for, and if you Google it, you'll come up with more churches who are using this framework to kind of see how they're doing it. And then in the last part of this presentation, I'm going to tell you how to drive traffic to your webpage, because just because you've created this webpage doesn't mean that people are going to find it, because there's so many web pages on the internet. We need to understand, how do we start moving people in our local community to find this page? And that'll be the second part of this presentation. I failed to mention this in the beginning, but I'm sticking around afterwards to answer questions that anyone might have to specific aspects of this. I know I'm kind of moving fast. I'm trying to honor your time. I want to make sure we hit about an hour for the presentation, maybe longer for Q&A. But you do have access to the slides afterwards so that you can go back and look at this, because I know I'm moving too fast for people to write a lot of notes. All right, this is section number 1 on your church Plan a Visit page, and it's going to be titled Getting to Know Each Other. That's the first title that you're going to have on that page. And this, right off the bat, for some folks, you're going to address the elephant in the room. They are a little hesitant. They've never been to a church before. They don't really know what goes on there. And so the first thing that you want to do is to address that. On these slides, I've provided you some copy that you can use. A lot of times I run into people who just kind of struggle with what to write. And so I've provided you some copy. If you visit those other church sites that I gave you, you'll also find copy there where they've rewritten it in their own terms. So you'll have plenty of ideas of what to put. This is basically the section where you just acknowledge, listen, visiting a church for the first time, maybe that can feel kind of intimidating. And maybe a little nerve-wracking, or maybe it makes you a little bit anxious. But we just want you to know that we're here and we're going to help to make your first experience at our church a great one. So you're tackling that topic right off the bat. This framework's very easy, by the way. Sections number 2, sections number 3. This is where you're going to list your service times and your location. That sounds pretty simple, but it's very important. The number 1 complaint that most people have about church websites is it's not easy to find the church service times and locations. You probably have this on your homepage. If you don't, you need to get it there. If it's kind of hidden and hard to find, you might want to make it a little bit more prominent, because this is the number 1 complaint that most people have. You're going to make sure that you're going to have this information on your plan a visit webpage. And just something else I wanted to say, I should have said this a little bit earlier. This church plan a visit webpage is the page that you're going to start driving people towards. Your homepage is good, nothing wrong with that. But this page is set up for potential first-time visitors. And what you don't want to do is to have them go to your homepage and then go, oh, what else is here? Oh, look, there's a plan a visit page. What is that? Let me check that out. The URL that your plan a visit page produces is the URL that you want to use to bring people initially straight to your plan a visit page, and then they can explore the rest of your website after that. So that's why on this page you want to have service times and locations so that that's pretty prominent. If you can on the locations, I would encourage you to include a link to a Google map. That way no one has to leave your web page in order to find that information. They can simply click on it. It'll open up another window with driving directions to your church or give them a sense of where it's located geographically. So if you can include a map to like a Google page or any other type of page, that provides directions, I think that would be a great idea. All right. So that was section 2. Section 3, service times and locations. Not ultra exciting, but important. Item number 4 of the framework, what can I expect? And again, this is the exact title that you're going to have on this web page. What can I expect? So up to this point, you've made the basic introductions. It's time to let people know a little bit more about your church. What are some of the things that they might expect upon attending your church for the first time? And you want to provide those answers here. Okay, because again, it's important to remember that as our church becomes more unchurched, you just can't expect people to have an inherent understanding of what goes on in a church service, because what comes as second nature to you can be completely foreign to someone else. And we have a growing audience out there, people who have never experienced church, that they just simply don't know. So in this section, this is the section where you want to really spell it out in black and white and to be precise. So let me show you an example of what that looks like. Here's the copy from a church for what can I expect? Because again, people have questions. How long is the service? What happens in the service? How do I dress for this place? What are the people like? And this is a good place for you to address this. So I've written you some copy. It just says under what can I expect? First of all, it just says, how long is a church service? Well, in total, your church service is about 60 minutes in length. Services begin with the Your Church band leading the church in music. Song lyrics are projected on a screen so that you can sing along with you if you want, or just engage with worship however you feel is most comfortable. After the music is over, one of our pastors comes out, shares an encouraging, hope-filled message about Jesus. Subtitle under that, what's the culture like? Again, what are the people like? And just very simple, or you can build this out more if you want. Sundays at your church are exciting, casual, and relaxed. Come as you are and expect to feel welcomed as our guests, okay? Listen, if this is not your church, don't put these words on there. If you're not casually dressed at your church, you just need to put that in, If you're not relaxed, I hope you are, but if you're not relaxed, if you're an uptight church, you just need to put that you're an uptight church in there. This is the place. You don't want to do a bait and switch here. In other words, you don't want to say, come as you are. At First Baptist Orlando, people show up in shorts. Now, not our preference, but when we say come as you are in Orlando, typically we'll see people in shorts and flip-flops. But we're okay with that, because what you don't want is when people to show up and they're dressed casually or they're coming as they want. You don't want them getting the evil eye from other folks, because that's just not how we dress here, right? So if your service is 90 minutes, put 90 minutes. Spell it out exactly like it is, because what you don't want, again, is a bait and switch. People show up thinking one thing and then they experience something else. Listen, your church isn't designed for everybody. You know, the character of your church, the mission that God has given your church isn't necessarily for everybody. I know you welcome everybody, but you're not necessarily reaching everybody. There's probably specific types of demographics that are a better fit for your church. And then there's a church down the road that's a better fit for a different type of demographic. It's okay. And that's what you need to put in here under this, what can I expect? All right. Next section of the framework, this is section number 5. You're going to just put this statement, what about my kids? Because if a family has children, they want to know some things before they arrive. You know, what are my kids going to do? You know, are they going to have fun? Will they enjoy it? Will they be safe? This can be a very important question for a new visitor that if you don't answer, it still leaves some big question marks in their mind and just delays their ability to make a decision to be a first-time visitor because they just don't know. I don't know what happens with kids here. Maybe they have to search other pages on your website. You don't want to have them to do that. Everything should be answered on this page. So again, here's some copy. You know, we believe that kids should have a blast at church every single week. And at your church, we make this a priority. The other thing we make a priority is your child's safety. And because of that, we have a detailed check-in process for our church program for your kids. You may want to leave yourself an extra 10 minutes to get signed in your first time around. And then again, here are the ages that we have a kids ministry. And obviously, if you have a youth ministry, you're also going to mention that and something pertaining to that particular ministry. A lot of church web pages that I see for this plan a visit, this isn't all text on this page. You can include pictures. I've seen videos of a kids ministry on some pages. I've seen pictures of happy, smiling, engaged children. It's okay to put, and actually I would recommend that you do put pictures on this page pertaining to the different sections. If you're a casual, relaxed church, then you should have people that are dressed casually, they look relaxed, and that they're having a good time. So pictures and even video are something potentially included on this page. In fact, I would kind of encourage that. But this is the place where you're going to address initially an overview of what happens with kids. All right? Easy stuff so far. Item number 6 on the framework, let us know you're coming. That's exactly what it's going to say. Let us know you're coming. Up to this point, you've been sharing a lot of information with them. This is now your call to action for them to commit if that's what they're going to do. So I want you to think about this like a reservation at a restaurant. Took my wife out a couple of weeks ago. We went to a restaurant to celebrate. I went online, I made reservations at that restaurant. I said, here's the day that we want to be there, the time that we want to be there, party for 2. So it's something very similar to that. All right. So when a new visitor fills out this form, and I'll show you the form on the next page, you're going to have a form on this page. It does a couple of things. One, it puts you on high alert that you're going to have a new visitor. And that's good because you want to expect them. You want to roll out the red carpet as you do every Sunday, but you want to be on the lookout for this person. So here's what the form looks like. I borrowed this off of one of the pages that I gave you. I thought this was a pretty good example. This is the form that they have. It simply asks for first and last name, email address, what date are you planning on visiting? If you're like some churches, you probably have multiple services. I think I would have included that on this form. What service do you plan on attending? Because I think that would be pretty important. I like below here where they just said, tell us a little bit about your family if you have kids, and it's just a check in the block. They don't have to write a paragraph about their family or anything like that. But it's just a check in the block, yes or no. And then that bottom statement, would you like one of our pastors to personally reach out? I would leave that out. Okay, and I'll tell you why here in another slide. I would leave that part out. The thing is, by filling out this form, a new visitor is that much more likely to follow through on their intention to attend. It has a psychological effect that because I have committed to something, I've given you my name, I've given you my email address, psychologically, there's more of a commitment on a person's part to actually show up for the first time because of that commitment. On this form, less is better. There might be a tendency on your part to want someone to include their home phone number, their blood type. There's so many other things that you could put on there. Don't do it, okay? Keep it simple, because you and I have been through this. We've started to fill out an online form, and then once we realize how lengthy it is, we're like, oh man. And perhaps at that point, we stopped. A phone number may be important to you, and I actually think that it is. My concern and my experience has been that when you ask for a phone number, people are a little bit more hesitant to provide that right off the bat because they just don't know you yet. They haven't been to your church. So in my case, I probably at this point would not ask for a phone number because I want to minimize the resistance that someone might have to completing this and sending it. Most people will give you their email address before they'll give you their phone number. So just think about that. There's a lot of information that you can capture once a first-time visitor is there. You probably have a card that they can fill out or something along those lines. Get it then, but don't get it here because you want to make this an easy as yes as possible for a first-time visitor. All right. Once a person fills out that form, you'll know it. What I'm recommending is that you send out an email in response to that form, which is why I asked you to just ignore, would you want a pastor to contact us, because we're going to contact you. When I filled out that reservation online for the date and time and the party of two, you know, I was immediately sent an email confirmation from them letting me know that they received my email and that they were ready, my order, and that they online order reservation, and that they were ready. And I appreciated that because it told me they knew I was coming. That's the same concept here. When someone fills out the form and they click send and you capture that information, I'm going to encourage you to build out an email. Could be a template that you send, you fill in the blanks, and you could either send it out manually, or if you have an autoresponder of some type, you can do it automatically. But just one similar to what you're seeing on the screen. I'm not going to fill all of this out. You can see that it's short, it's to the point, and in the PS, they say, listen, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate. And so they leave it in the court of the person who's becoming a first-time visitor to see if there's more information. But initially, they're just responding with this. I think this is a really good idea to have one of these. All right. Item number 7, and this is it. It's the last item on that page framework that you're going to have. It's going to say testimonials. I would like that to be plural rather than singular. Up to this point, they've heard from you, okay? And that's pretty good. But nowadays, listen, especially amongst millennials, there's a little bit of hesitancy or maybe even trust when it comes to institutions. And so a lot of people nowadays look for something called social proof. They expect you to tell them that yours is the greatest church in their neighborhood. They expect that. But what carries more weight is when someone else says it, all right? That's what social proof is. When someone else has something to say about your business, or in this case, about your church, rather than the church itself, a real person. So let me tell you why this is important. And this is the part that I see most Plan a Visit web pages omit, and I think it's a huge mistake. The links that I gave you to the couple of websites or web pages that I liked don't have this, and I think it's a big mistake, and here's why. Currently, research shows that 9 out of 10 consumers, 90% of people, consider an online review as something equivalent to a personal recommendation. It carries a lot of weight. When I do a local search for a Mexican restaurant near me and I see that there's 15 recommendations, right, and they average out to like a 3.5, I don't know who these people are, but they're people who have been at this restaurant, and at a 3.5, I'm not going there. I'm just not. Research shows that typically it's got to be 4 or 5 stars, and this testimonial isn't that type of rating system. It's a recommendation system, but I think that you get my drift. When you have people who are saying, I wouldn't go here, people don't show up. But when you have recommendations, testimonials of people who are saying, man, I had My family had a great experience here on our first visit. That's what you want. There's a whole industry that has just cropped up. It's called reputation management. At First Baptist Orlando, I take care of that, but it's called reputation management. It has surfaced as an industry as a result of the weight that online reviews carry. And all the search engines, Facebook does it, Google does it, Bing does it, Yahoo does it. When they're recommending a church for someone who's doing a local search, they look at recommendations. It carries a lot of weight. Well, for that reason, you want to have some recommendations on your plan of visit page. And my thought is, I'm showing you one here, and I don't know what the magic number is. I can only speak for myself. If you have two, and I'm even saying for me, three, if you have three testimonials of people who were first-time visitors that can attest that this church is everything that it says it is on this page, that we had a wonderful experience, our kids enjoy it, you know, things to that nature, I'm probably going to consider that church, because for me, three testimonials would carry enough weight. Now, for you, maybe one, for someone else, maybe five. I don't have a magic number for you. I think you should have at least one, but if you can get more than that, and I'm sure that you can, I would get more than that. All right. So that's it. That is the 7-part plan a visit framework. Those are the 7 sections on your plan a visit webpage that you should have. It's okay to include pictures. I would say for testimonials, that would be great. If you can get a picture of the person or the family along with that testimonial, I think that's really good. People are very visual. They need to see things. And all of the pictures that you put should reflect the copy or the words that you're using on your website, okay? Don't use stock photo images, okay? Not good practice. Use actual pictures of your church and people who attend your church. All right. Second half of this, I just want to talk about, now that you've built your page, we've got to start moving traffic towards that. What are some ideas, okay? So remember, your plan a visit webpage has developed a URL, a link that people can click on and go to it. If you have an email list, I would send this out to everyone on your email list so that they have that link. Your email list is probably going to consist of people who currently attend your church, people who used to attend your church, and maybe you've captured emails from people who have not yet been at your church, and this would be a great URL to share with them. For people who attend your church, encourage them to reshare it via email with someone that they would like to invite, because I think the truth of the matter is there's some people who will go next door to their neighbor and for a few houses down or maybe throughout their neighborhood and invite people to church, but there's a lot of other people who just don't feel comfortable enough to do that. So doing it via email is typically an easier way for people to do that. And now you've created this wonderful page that answers practically every single question that they can use to send to someone that they would like to invite, and they don't have to do it face-to-face. All right. Social media posts and Facebook events are another area where you can include this URL. Always encourage your staff members, members of your church, to share it on their own personal social media. And then if you haven't done it yet, or if you have, I would certainly consider doing Facebook ads. First Baptist Orlando is a mega church. It is a large church, but I got to tell you, and we do Facebook ads, but let me just say at this point, I never spend more than $25 for a Facebook ad, because that's all that's needed to reach the very specific people that we're trying to reach pertaining to a particular post or video that we have on our Facebook page. We don't spend a lot of money. Typically, here's what Facebook says. For $1 of Facebook money spent for an ad, typically will produce 4 website visits, that's what you want in this case. 2 people who will like your church Facebook page, which is good because the more people that like it, the more people you can talk to. $1 will produce 11 engagements, and an engagement is someone liking your post, sharing your post, or commenting on your post. That's very good because the Facebook algorithm focuses on engagement. So the more people that engage with your ad or your Facebook post, the more people that Facebook will ensure that your post or ad reaches. And then typically $1 produces 117 impressions. In other words, that ad's been seen 117 times per dollar. And so just something to think about. And I'll talk just a little bit about that. That literally could be its own presentation. Okay. Facebook events. If you're not using Facebook events to identify events at your church, you need to start doing this. It's free. It will reach more people, whatever information you put. If your women's ministry is having an event, create a Facebook event. Men's ministry, create a Facebook event. Couples ministry, create a couples. If there's a couples event, create a Facebook event. We create Facebook events for every new sermon series that we put out. Any event that happens on our campus where we would like people to attend, regardless of whatever the ministry is, we are creating a Facebook event, and here's why. 1, it's free. 2, organically, you will reach more people by filling out a Facebook event that leads people back to your plan a visit page than you will by doing a post on your Facebook page, okay? So both and. You should be creating a post on your Facebook page, but a Facebook event will reach many more people. The lower right-hand side of the screen where I've highlighted this. Every year, Facebook holds what they call their F8 conference. This year, here's what they said. Facebook, you can read it, Facebook is putting a big emphasis on helping people find stuff to do in their local neighborhood or community. So they are beefing up Facebook events because they want this to be a tool that if someone says, man, what's happening around me in my community, it's going to show them things that are local to them that people had filled out a Facebook event for, including your church. You need to be on here. For our church plant, Horizon West, they were having a street party in which after church they had bouncy houses and they were grilling burgers and dogs and things like that. We created a Facebook event. At the time I captured this picture, 2,200 people had seen it. In fact, 1,100 people in the last 7 days. 98 people responded that they were interested in going. And then another thing that we do on Wednesday nights, Life University, right? Everyone gets together, they have a meal, and then they go to Bible classes. It's called different things at different churches. We call it Life U. Those are events for us. Again, this is free. I can do as many of these as I want. 3,000 people saw it. And I can't see the number here. Let's see if I can move this. 93 people responded thus far. Here's the other cool thing about this. On average, if you're on Facebook, the average Facebook person has 150 friends, okay? I'm sure each of you probably have 1,050 friends. But if you're the average person like myself and you just have 150 friends, here's what happens with these events. When someone clicks the button that they're going or that they're interested in going, Facebook sends a notification to every single friend and family member that that person has on Facebook. In other words, when I click I'm interested in going, Facebook sends a notification to my 150 friends or family members that Mike Woods is thinking about or is going to attend this event. It's a great way to help increase the organic reach that you're getting on Facebook for events that happen at your church, that you can provide a link that comes back to that plan a visit page where the people can indicate that they want to show up. Facebook events, if you're not using them, I'd start using them. If you're using them a little, I would start using them more. All right. I want to show you some examples of some Facebook ads. Don't think about these as ads. I want you to think about these as Facebook posts. Posts that you can create and put on your church Facebook page, because I think these are kind of unique and they have a different perspective. But then I'm going to show you how to turn your post into an ad, if that's what you choose to do, to reach more people in the easiest way possible, okay? So these next couple of slides, let's think about these as potential Facebook posts for your church. The reason I like this one here from Guts Church in Oklahoma is because it was written from a child's perspective to their parents. And so they have a pretty cool picture here of the children's ministry. It looks like they have a group type of event going on. It says your kids are going to love it here. And then I love this copy. Dear Mom and Dad, can we go to Guts this Sunday? They have a rock wall, a basketball court, a playground, free ice cream for kids. And you can go to big church, make new friends, and you can wear whatever you want, drink coffee. And you know what? You've always said that the most important thing is family, and family's important. So why not church or something to that effect, right? I love that. Now listen, I've got to tell you, at First Baptist Orlando, we don't have a rock wall. We don't have a basketball court. We do have a playground. We don't give out free ice cream for kids. So I would not put those things. Don't put anything in here. Again, you don't want this to be a bait and switch. I like this approach, but it has to be things that are actually the way that they are at your church. But I like this idea of a perspective of a kid talking to their parent about this. There's a button on here where people can click to learn more. This can take people back to your plan a visit page. All right, let's take a look at another idea. Here's another one from Guts Church. They're pretty creative bunch. I like them, and I have no problems plagiarizing good things that other people do that I think will help our church at First Baptist Orlando. This one I thought was kind of interesting. It leads with the title, "This Sunday is International Go Back to Church Day." And then the copy says, did I just make that up? Yep, I did. But you know what? If you're reading this, it's not an accident. What if this Sunday was the day where everything changed for you? Man, I love that. You know, so this was kind of written in a very unique way that I thought was pretty cool. And you know that God uses these kind of things to show them a church, you know, and a church that he wants them at. And I just love the perspective or the way that they approach us. Kind of humorous, but it gets people thinking, you know, what if this Sunday is the day that you finally find what you've been looking for? Pretty cool. Again, there's a learn more button. If you click on it, it'll take people back to a plan a visit page. Here's another one from Guts Church. I actually use this one at First Baptist Orlando. I like this one because the perspective is from the church, just sending out a word of encouragement. In this case, it was for parents in their local area. You know, parenting's tough. Sometimes it gets crazy. There's no roadmap. There's no blueprint when you're raising kids. It's easy to feel discouraged. And at Guts Church, we just wanted to say thank you for your hard work, your sacrifice, your commitment. And we just wanted to let you know you're doing better than you think you are. So I thought that was pretty cool. What type of Facebook post could you create that would be one of encouragement for parents or single parent or married couples? And if you're married, you know what married couples can go through. That's a word of encouragement. What about those who are experiencing financial stress? So this is a type of Facebook post that you can create from your church to a particular, your local community, but you're addressing a particular pain point that most people experience. And you're just saying, listen, you know, we appreciate you. We're praying for you, something along those lines. If that catches someone's attention and says, wow, what's this church about? They can click on the button down here. I know this is redundant, right? The research says adults have to hear something 7 times in order to learn it. So it takes them back to your church plan a visit website. Just trying to give you some more ideas for Facebook posts that you can do. This is from Cornerstone Church. I like this line, a community of doubters, believers, and everything in between. Love that. Then it just says up here, are you a spiritual explorer? Begin a journey of faith at Cornerstone Church this Christmas. Your questions, your doubts, and your beliefs are welcome here. Man, does that have to happen just at Christmas time? No, not at all. You could run this post a variety of times throughout the year. So I like that approach. Here's another one they did on just serving others, being out in the community and serving others. I like that. This was focused on Christmas. You know, it doesn't have to be about Christmas time. And then this last one here, interesting title. What does the Bible have to say about social media? Well, there's a lot of parents who wrestle out there, a lot of people who wrestle out there. Am I on social media too much? Are my kids on social media too much? What does the Bible have to say about social media? I thought this was a pretty unique approach, again, for a Facebook post. Again, if people want to learn more, they click on the link. Okay? Here's where the magic comes in. Hold on. I should be done in 10 minutes. That will have been an hour. I'll stick around for questions. I want to talk to you about how to boost a post. I could talk to you about how to create a Facebook ad from scratch. If you've never done it before, it can be complicated. Once you learn how, it's not that hard, but again, I think it almost requires a separate workshop. The easier path is to boost a post. By the way, I'll throw this in here. I don't have it on the slide. We talked about Facebook events a few slides ago and how important they are and how much reach they can get for you. You can also boost an event, okay? And we do that also because we tend to get more traction. We'll put a little bit of money behind an event and boost that, but you can also do it for your Facebook post, all right? If you haven't done it before, let's just take a quick look. First of all, here's one that we boosted. It was for a presentation that we were doing in conjunction with Easter. This one was actually a video, but I just wanted to give you an idea. We spent $30 on this to try to reach people over a 2-day period. At the point I took this picture, we'd spent $29.21. But Facebook, using that money and the people that we targeted, made sure that it reached 4,253 people, okay? That ad, and again, think of this as a post because we can turn a post into an ad. Facebook ensured that it reached 4,253 people that we wanted to reach, and out of that number, 574 of them actually watched the video. That ended up costing us about a nickel per view. Man, a nickel per view. It just doesn't get any better than that. All right. Let me move this because I don't know if you can see this or not. Move that up there. All right. Horizon West Church is one of our church plants, okay? They did a baptism. They had a baptism coming up. They did a Facebook church post. This is what they posted on their Facebook page. Was it about a baptism coming up? It had a link to the page that you could go to sign up for the baptism. Okay, so this is not a perfect example for your plan a visit page, but it is a perfect example on how to take a Facebook post and boost it so that you can reach more people. All right. So on your Facebook page, with every post that you have, down in the bottom right, you're going to see a button that says Boost Post. Okay. You would boost the post because you want more people to see this than are going to see it organically. You're going to put a little bit of money behind it so that more people can see it. $1 can help you to do a lot. By the way, you can boost a post for $5, $10, $15, $1,500. You know, $5. And if you're in a small community and you're just trying to reach people local to your community that are on Facebook about something particularly, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I never spend more than $25. Okay. When you click on this Boost Post button, it's going to open up this menu right here. The right-hand side, you can still see the post. All right. Right here, it's going to ask you, what is your objective? For your plan a visit page, for a post that's going to link back to your plan a visit page, you want to make sure you're choosing get more website visitors, because Facebook is going to help you to do exactly that. Okay. There's several options. If you click on this change button, there's other options. Get more messages on Facebook. In other words, you want more people texting your church. If that's what you want, Facebook will focus just on that. But in this case, for this presentation, we want to bring people back to a website page, right? So that's what we're going to use, get more visitors, okay? It's going to ask you, do you want to put a button on this post? Yes, you do. That's where that Learn More button appears from, okay? Now, there's other buttons that come up when you click on this. There's a drop-down menu that says sign up, register now, buy this. There's a variety of buttons. I always use the Learn More button, and here's why. It's been my experience that if I use the register now button or sign up button, it's too big a step for a lot of folks. When they click on that button, they think that they're going to sign up for something or going to get registered for something, and for that reason, they won't click on it and they'll never arrive at your plan a visit page. Learn More is the perfect button. People use the internet to get information. That's one of the reasons. Well, that's what Learn More means. We're just saying you want to learn more about this, click this button. So my recommendation is you use the Learn More button. Okay? Then right in here, it's going to ask you when they click on the Learn More button, what URL, what internet page, what page on your website do you want people to go to? This is where you put the URL for your plan a visit page. That's what will ensure that when people click on the Learn More button, it's taking them to your plan a visit page. Okay, so far so good. Next thing that you're going to do under audience is you're going to click this button that says people you choose through targeting. I love this part right here. Okay, on the left hand side of the screen, when you click on that button, which was on the previous slide, it opens up this thing on the right hand side of the screen that says edit audience. This is where you're going to pick the exact people that you want your Facebook post, which will now become an ad, to appear in front of. First, you get to choose the gender. If it's men's ministry, you can make sure that it only goes out or only men are going to see it when you turn it into an ad. If it's a women's ministry related thing, you can pick just women, or you can pick both men and women, which tends to be the preference in most cases. You can also choose the age range of people that you want to reach. If you want to reach younger people, adjust the age range, low to high. If you're looking to reach older people, adjust the age range. It goes from everything, I think, from 5 years old to 65 plus. Now, First Baptist Orlando, the lowest age range that we set is 18. In Florida, that's the age of being adult. So we've made a conscious choice not to create ads that would be put in front of a child. Not because they're not appropriate, they are, but it's just sort of, I don't know, it's just kind of a safety precaution. We always pick 18 as the absolute lowest. If we're trying to reach millennials, it might be a higher number than that. Anyhow, my point is, you can pick the gender of the people that you want to reach, the ages of the people that you want to reach, best part right here, where those people reside. Now, Horizon West Church is located in Winter Garden, Florida, right next to Ocoee, Florida. So they do get people from Ocoee, Florida. But you can designate specifically where you want them to be from. Now, the coolest thing is you can put a city. So if you have a city, just put the city in there. And then what Facebook will ensure is you're reaching men and women between these ages that only live in this city that are on Facebook. I love that. You're not designing or paying for an ad, I should say, that's reaching someone in Orlando, Florida, Orange County, California, up in Canada. Your Facebook post, which is going to turn into an ad when you boost it, will only be in front of the people that you want it to see. Man, you can pick a county instead of a city. If you wanted to enter a county, you could do that. Or if you wanted, right under here under locations, you could just simply type in the address of your church, a very specific address, and then it's going to build a circular radius around that location that you can choose 5 miles, 10 miles, 12 miles, 15 miles. It will only reach your Facebook boosted post, which is now an ad, will only reach people who live within a radius of that physical address. You can get very surgically specific with who you want this to appear in front of. It is really great. All right. Then the next thing at the bottom is pretty cool. Once you define your audience, Facebook is actually going to give you an idea of the potential people that you'll reach based on the parameters that you've set above. So with men and women between 18 and 65 plus who live in Winter Garden, Ocoee, Florida, our post has a potential of reaching 50,000 people. Facebook will only show those ads in front of these specific people, but we have a potential of reaching 65, okay? Once you're satisfied with this, you're going to click Save. So that saves that specific audience, okay? Then it's going to take you to the page where you want to indicate how much money that you want to spend, all right? You're going to put your budget in this block. This is the budget. I rarely ever exceed this amount. I don't need to because of the people that we'll reach. But What I need you to know in this block is Facebook will not exceed this dollar amount. If you put $10, that's what I want to spend, they will not spend a penny more than that. Okay, so you're not going to get a bill for $100 when all that you did was plan on spending 10. All right. Next thing is you indicate how long do you want this to run on Facebook. In this particular case, I chose 10 days. You can pick 24 hours. If it's Saturday, maybe 24 hours. You know, if you're leading up to Sunday, you might want to put 5 days or whatever it may be. You can pick when you want it to stop. So what Facebook will do is it will spend over a 10-day period, out of that $25 is what they'll spend, right? And what you can see down here is that it's telling me down here actually, $2.50 per day, right? $25 divided by 10 is $2.50. Facebook is going to spend $2.50 a day for my church, but no more than that because it's going to run for 10 days and they'll spend this total amount of money. But right here, Facebook shows you your estimated reach for spending $25 over this period. So what Facebook is saying that on each day on the low end of $2.50 per day, I'm going to reach 120 people per day on the low end and up to 450 people per day on the high end. But if you look at this 10 days, what's 10 times 120? Right, it's 1,200. So in 10 days, your ad would have reached on the low end 1,200 people who are part of the demographic or the audience that you identified in the previous slide. And on the high end, you know, 4,500 people for $25 over a 10-day period. That's a pretty good deal. Again, I'm not saying that you have to spend money on Facebook, but the reality is you will reach more people if you spend some money. But it can be $5, it can be $10, it can be $25. The more money you spend, the more people that Facebook will guarantee that you reach. Remember on that previous slide, Facebook said potentially we could reach 50,000 people. Well, they're not going to do it for us for $25. If I spent $250, then those numbers would grow significantly. But for the amount that I'm indicating, this is the average. And that's good to know because at that point you can decide, do I want to do this or not? If not, you just hit cancel. And if so, you're going to hit boost, but not at this point because the last thing that you have to enter in is your payment information, right? That's going to be credit card information. See these numbers right above here, right underneath my name? Listen, I got to tell you, that is not my credit card number, all right? So don't even think about typing those numbers in there. It's just an ID number that Facebook gives me for something called a pixel, which again, real important thing. It could be a whole other workshop. Not my credit card number, so don't even try it. Anyhow, you put in your credit card information, right? It has to be a valid credit card. After that, that's when you can click boost, and Facebook now is going to take that post or that Facebook event and turn it into an ad to only reach those people for the amount of money that you indicated and for that audience that you were very specific about. Who are we trying to reach? Okay, so just a thought for doing that. All right, that's when you click your boost button. Facebook is actually going to look your post over and make sure that it meets criteria guidelines, no hate speech or anything like that. I'm pretty sure that your post probably isn't going to have that. But if they see something like that, they'll decline it. If not, then they approve it, and your boosted post starts running that day. All right, last slide. Here are 3 churches that have a plan a visit page. There are a lot of similarities between these 3 pages, also a lot of differences. Some of the wording is different than what I showed you. One of the pages includes a video. Almost all of the pages include pictures. So you can kind of see how they've laid it out and what they've said. You might like their wording better than what I gave you. That's okay. It just needs to be wording that's a good fit for your church, right? No bait and switch, just the real deal. You see my email address here, michaelwoods@firstorlando.com. If you have any questions about any of this, now I'm going to entertain questions for you right now, but as you start to implement this, if you run across things that perhaps I've forgotten to address in the presentation or just little hiccups along the way, email me, right? We're on the same team here, man. We're all trying to reach our communities for Jesus Christ. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Make sure that you email me if you do. At this point, I'm going to take it off of presentation mode, go back to the screen. If Jimmy wants, he can unmute anybody. If you have questions, I would be more than happy to answer them. Okay, so I'm going to do that now.
Michael, I'm going to ask you, because of a conversation we had earlier, kind of the way I had promoted this. Could you talk a little bit about the Google Ads? We had talked about that last
Okay. Certainly can do that. Be happy to do that. That in and of itself could be an entire presentation, but one worth listening to, or you can just, you can Google this and find out the information. But here's what Jimmy is getting at. We talked about this the other day. Google has, this is worth writing down. Just these 3 words: Google nonprofit grant. Okay. Nothing else. Just jot those 3 words down. Research it. Google nonprofit grant. As it stands right now, if you're a nonprofit, I think that's a 501(c)(3), and you qualify, and the qualifications aren't that hard. For the most part, you need to be a 501(c). Google will actually give you $10,000 a month of their money to spend. $120,000 a year, Google will let you spend their money. That comes out to $381 a day. I know because we have the grant, and I'm burning that money up on Google, taking out ads for our church. $381 a day of their money. At the end of the month, I run Google ads on things that are related to our church, that we're trying to reach our local community, and we don't spend a dime. We spend Google's money doing it. So it's definitely something to look into. If you go to the Greater Orlando Baptist Association, it's probably on their website. Their director, Mark Weibel, who's really just an SEO smart guy, has done presentations. I think you'll find some on there that you could just walk through that. But again, if you're the kind of person who's willing to watch videos or read different links, you can learn it yourself. It isn't really rocket science on how to do it, but there's a variety of ways that you can. I would definitely explore it. Here's the difference. I know you guys probably know this, but in case you don't, all right, here's the difference between a Facebook ad and a Google ad, all right? I can take a church post, I can boost it and make it a Facebook ad, and I can tell Facebook, this is who I want my ad to show in front of, and there's nothing that person can do about it. If they fit my criteria, my ad is going to show up in their news feed or on the side of their Facebook page, right? It's very disruptive in that sense, okay? Google ads are different in this way. The only way that a Google ad shows up is if someone is typing something in Google that's pertinent and it's related to church or something going on at your church, not your church specifically, but perhaps they live in Rowan County and they're looking for online Bible study or local Bible study or something like that. It's only when someone does that that now that ad on Google is going to appear in front of them. So that's the difference. On Google, your ads show up in front of somebody who's searching for something related to your ad. On Facebook, you're spending money to put that ad in front of folks, even if they're not looking for it. To me, it's not an either or. It should be a both and. Some of the things that I run Google ads for, the obvious one would be, if you're looking for a church to attend on Sundays. But I think about all of our ministries: women's ministry, or children's ministry, preschool ministry, men's ministry, couples ministry. We do Dave's class on financial planning and getting out of debt. We have an ESL program at our church for second language, for primarily non-English language folks who want to learn English. So I take ads out on all those things. If your marriage is struggling and you're looking for a solution because you want to keep it together, we've got something for you. Click on the link. Now, the surprising thing for most folks is that link's going to land them on a church page, right? But listen, churches want to hold marriages together. We want to help people with their finances. It's important for us to come alongside parents and help them in their child raising. There's so many ministries that go on at your church that meet the felt needs of people in the community around them. That's where I spend my focus running Google ads. And to be honest with you, that might be a great place to start with Facebook ads. Take them out about your church, but what are the felt needs that your church is addressing? Who is that audience? Create that audience, create a post for that audience, and then put that out there, whether it's on Google or Facebook. We have a lot of luck with that strategy. I can't say that everyone clicks on it, shows up. The other important thing about that money on Google, there might be a pretty good chance that your church is not showing up on the first page of Google in a search result, right? We know that statistically, maybe 2% of people go to page 2. So the only other way that you're going to show up on Google, if you're not doing it organically, is through a Google ad. Google will give you $10,000 a month through the Google ad grant. Definitely time well spent looking at that.
I believe we've got a question. It looks like some showing up on my screen that somebody has their hand raised.
Okay. Yeah, I'll answer it. I don't see it on my end, but I'm sticking around for as long as you need me to.
The name I have is just Sandhills. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe that's not what that means then. Anybody else got any questions? Mike, I'm going to ask you, if you can you show one other thing, the benefit of using the Google ads to be able to, that screen you were showing a while ago about where you were showing keyword searches, how you can target with that?
Yeah.
Put you on the spot.
Okay. Testing out my skill set now. See if I can find that. Well, if you're on Google, so here's how we use the keyword planner. Here's how I use well, that didn't work out very well, did it? So Google has a keyword planner. In the process of creating an ad, if you're interested in how many people, in Google, you can put a zip code, you can put a county, you can put a city. Google is very precise, just like Facebook, right? So before I take an ad, let's say I have run ads before that deal with marriages, marriage counseling, strengthening your marriage, marriages that are in trouble, but what I do first is I use the Google Keyword Planner, which is part of the Google Ads tool set. And in here, I will type in words. And what you want to do is you want to type in the words that you think people are typing in. What is the average person typing in who is struggling in their relationship right now and they know they need help to make it better? What are the things that single parent is typing in that's important to someone who's working full time and is a single parent? What are things that are people that are typing in related to financial stressors and they just need to solve that problem because they feel like they're sinking? This keyword planner will allow you to enter those terms in and then actually see if I pick Cabarrus County or if I pick a particular city or if I pick a particular zip code, it will actually show me how many people are searching for that term. And to be honest with you, when it comes up, this is just my preferences, to be quite honest. If I only see that 50 people are searching for that term, maybe I don't do that ad. Now, you know what? For someone else, they may say, hey, that's 50 people. That's 50 people we could be helping. And I guess now that I say it, perhaps that ought to be my attitude. But where I'm spending a finite amount of money, so I want to make sure that it's working best for us that we can. But it'll show you how many people within your zip code, county, city are actually searching for that term. And if it's a big enough number for you, then you move forward with that ad. And that's kind of how I use it. So is that?
I have a question that popped up here. It says, can I post pictures of our church members legally on social media without their permission?
It's a double-edged sword. We have signage on our campus that says that, we take pictures of things that are going on here and then let our community know what we're up to. You might be in a photograph. Never had a complaint from anybody about that. We have had complaints about people where we took pictures of kids. That tends to be a bigger sticking point. I know of other churches who actually, if they're going to use pictures of people, they make those very specific people fill out a form as a release. So for us, again, it's just signage letting people know that we do take pictures and videos of things that are going on in campus, and we use them on social media. That's never been an issue for us thus far. We ran into problems with kids. So nowadays with kids, we do get specific permission from a parent for their specific child. And of course, we honor that if the answer is no. So just two ways to think about it. We're a large church, so it's hard to get permission from all the individuals that might show up. But I think it's one of those two ways. You could actually do none of the above and then just do it. And if you don't have any complaints, you're good to go. If someone complains, maybe you adjust what you do from that point on. Those would be my thoughts anyways. For kids, I would definitely be a lot more intentional about that permission.
I do know of one situation where with pictures of kids, there were some custody issues, and the pictures of the kids allowed part of the family that weren't supposed to have access to the child.
Yeah.
Then to
I
know
ran
who
into
the child was. So.
Okay. You made me think about a situation. I was taking a picture of some of our greeters at the door. Usually very good pictures. People are smiling, shaking hands, hugging one another. It's a really good thing. But I took a picture, and of course the lady saw me taking the picture, and she said, "Did you just take a picture of me?" And I said, "Yes, I did." She goes, "I don't want that used for anything." She was in a situation where her ex, who she had divorced, I don't want to say he was a stalker necessarily, but she had big concerns over him knowing where she was at. And so right on the spot, I showed her right on my phone. I said, "You know what? Then we're just going to delete this." And I showed her as I deleted it that we were deleting that picture. So I have had actually a couple of occasions, only two that I can think of, that in the process of taking pictures, someone has said, no, don't use my picture. And so we honor that, and I make it a point to delete the picture as they're looking at it so that they can see that we've definitely done that.
I'm not sure if everybody has audio, but if you haven't figured out, down at the bottom of the screen, there's a button called chat. And if you want to send a question over that way, I will see it.
Yeah, I've seen two. I can see two down there.
Let me get that up for you.
I'm guilty of presenting in my mind.
I'll pass.
It's a very simple process. So I probably lay it out there as a simple process. And I think that it is actually, but it could be because I've done it before. And I forget maybe sometimes for someone who's boosting a post for the first time or figuring out how to develop a web page for this, that's not my forte. I know what needs to go on it. That sometimes it's a little bit tougher than it sounds, which is why I left my email address on the last slide. If anyone asks questions that they don't ask today, then I'd be more than happy to answer them via email.
All right. Nobody's saying anything. I do have a copy of Mike's presentation. If you missed anything you want to see, again, if you let me know, I can email you that copy. Yes, somebody's asking me, Amy, yes. I have a copy of it. I will send that out. I need a copy. Okay, Jane, if you'll give me your email address, I will get it to you. So
I'm looking at something on my phone. I'm not trying to be rude, but I received this yesterday from a church. They've implemented this. I didn't invent this, by the way. My job is to see what's out there and working in social media. Does it make sense for our church to do that? And then if so, to implement that. So this is not something that I've created. It's just something that I see other churches doing that are getting some success. And it could be that there's churches that are doing this that aren't getting any kind of success. But I received an email from a pastor who said that and they ran some Facebook ads for their church service. I don't know how much money they put behind it, but they got almost a 500,000 impressions, which tells me they probably put a good chunk of money behind it. But it produced 107 first-time visitors. That's not the norm. It could be maybe if you put $500 behind something and you create a good post and turn it into an ad, that's how it works. For us on any given Sunday, man, we're happy if we just have a one new time visitor, right? What if we could do that every single Sunday? That would be great. So I don't know if necessarily the numbers are the big deal, but just the fact that this appears to be a process that's working for folks to produce first time visitors, I think is at least worth exploring.
Okay. All right.